Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I do happen to have a yoga mat. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Find a place in your house that's carpeted, or maybe you've got a rug that can act as your yoga mat for today. And though I'm barefoot, if you're more comfortable keeping your shoes on, that's great too. I have a folded blanket, which is the folded blanket from my couch, and maybe you've got a throw blanket you can use, or a big beach towel works great. And 2 yoga blocks, 2 thick books can be a great substitute. Once we have those, let's stand in our mountain pose. So feet hip distance and parallel, a soft bend in our knees, an uplift to our heart. And if you turn your palms away from each other and allow that to originate at your shoulder, you'll start to feel that that contributes to the uplift. Our chin is parallel to the ground, so we're not mistaking the uplift of our chest for the uplift of our chin. And it's here that we fall into our breath. It's rise and it's fall. We turn the arrows of attention inward instead of distractedly outward. And we stop so that we can start. Take your hands onto your hips. Stand onto your left leg and take your right leg out in front of you. Feel your outer left hip hug in. And let's pretend that we're dancing a jig. So you can actually feel your hip turn out and then come back to neutral when your toes come to the sky. You might want your hand on the seat of your chair or a wall, but let's go back and forth. So turning out at our hip joint like a jig, and then back up, toes to the sky. Now turn those toes out. Be careful not to collapse into that left hip, and set up a kickstand, right toes in the arch of your left foot. You can trot that up to right foot into your shin, your left shin. Some might bring right foot into left inner thigh, but that's not a goal. What I do want us to notice is that our hips are doing different things. We're going to focus a bit on our hips and our hamstrings, and just note the amazing things that our hip joints can do. They stabilize like our left leg, they mobilize like our right leg, and they help us to balance. So maybe you take your branches out to the side in your tree pose. Let's stay for a few moments. Feel free to keep your left hand on something, a wall, the arm of your sofa, the seat of a chair, or back of a chair probably. Now take your hands on your hips, turn your right knee forward, step down, feet hip distance, into our mountain, into that feeling of 2 feet on the ground, stability in both hips. We'll challenge the stability of our right hip now, and the mobility of our left hip with our hands on our hips, maybe right hand on a chair or a wall. Stand on your right leg, take your left leg out in front of you, and then turn that leg out like you're dancing a jig and let it roll back up to the sky. Stay on the project of outer right hip hugging in, left leg turns out, turns back up. We'll do that again. One more little dancing of a jig. And back up. This time when we dance our jig, make it a kickstand. Left toes on the inside of the arch of your left foot. You might take your left foot, onto your right shin. You might put your left foot into the inseam of your right leg. So standing right leg solid, mobilize left leg in a tree pose. You could take your arms wide or even V-shape towards the sky. And let's pause and breathe and feel balance and stability. And now bring your hands onto your hips. Turn your left knee forward, step down, feet hip distance, palms face out. We're standing in our mountain. Then just make sure that you are standing in your mountain facing that short front edge of your mat. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Take your hands onto your thighs for this first one. Traction your hands on your thighs and uplift your heart, lengthening through your spine. Exhale, keep the length in your spine, but hinge at your hips, and you might slide your hands down further, but I want you to find a place where you're still long in your spine and your fold. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart. We'll exhale, slide our hands down and keep that length in our spine. And then let's rise, reach, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. Pause, arms along your side. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, bend your knees deeply, palms go flat on the ground. We'll step to our first down dog, and I'd like for our first down dog to really be a lesson in awareness. So push the ground away as opposed to collapsing. There's no bend in our elbows. Create the longest spine in this pose too that you can. Come up high on your tiptoes. My feet are as wide as my mat. You might do the same, because I want to facilitate all four sides of my waist getting long, and my hamstrings are pretty tight. So if I'm trying to get my feet flat, that's probably going to round my spine, and that's not what I want. Walk your feet forward, feet to your hands, hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips as we fold, and then rise, reach. Inhale, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. Pause, stand in your mountain, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs, your shins, or your ankles. Slide your hands up as you inhale and lift your heart, palms flat. Step it carefully to down dog. Think that there's a hook in your tailbone. Press the ground away with your hands. Keep pressing the ground away and shift shoulders over wrists for a plank position. You're welcome to have your knees down in plank, but what I don't want is a collapse between our shoulder blades. So keep actively pushing the ground away and fill out that space between your shoulder blades. Find the hook in your tailbone to take you bent kneed into your down dog. So much length in your spine. Walk your feet forward, hip distance to your hands. Hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we inhale, uplift our heart, and exhale, fold back in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V, and then let's stand in our mountain, palms face out. Adding on. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up as you uplift your heart. Bend your knees, palms go flat, and then we step to that long spine in down dog. This time we shift to plank, shoulders over wrists. We're pushing the ground away actively, and all of us bring our knees to our mat in one piece. So it's not a collapse of our hips. It's a feeling of like we're one chunk all the way down onto our bellies. Uncurl your toes. Bring your forearms parallel to the long edges, the side edges of your mat. Let's design this intelligently. Press into the tops of your feet. Lift your kneecaps off the ground. Traction your elbows towards you. Draw your chest through the gateway of your arms. Sphinx pose is not us overusing our neck and throwing our chin. So keep your chin parallel to the ground. Lower down. Hands next to your ribs. Curl your toes under. Fire up strength in your core, in your belly. Come to all fours. And then hook in our tailbone takes us to down dog. From down dog, walk your feet forward, hip distance and parallel, front edge of our mat. Hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we inhale and uplift our heart. And we'll exhale, fold it gently back in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, and then stand in your mountain, palms face out. Let's flow that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, or shins, or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart. Bend your knees deeply, palms flat. We step to down dog, pushing the ground away, finding that hook in our tailbone. Inhale to plank, keep pushing the ground away. Knees down in one piece all the way to our belly. You can keep your hands here or make it Sphinx again. Uncurl your toes and really feel the tops of your feet press down as we uplift our heart. Lower down, curl your toes under through all fours, and then our hips come up and back and our spine stays long in our down dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands, hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, and we'll stand in our mountain. One more round just like that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart, bend your knees deeply, palms flat, step back, down dog. From down dog, shift it to plank, push the ground away, knees down all the way to our bellies. Uncurl your toes for cobra or sphinx. Curl your toes under as you lower down. Fire up the strength in your belly to come through all fours and into down dog. There's a hook in our tailbone. Walk forward, feet to your hands. Slide your hands to ankles, shins, or thighs. Inhale, uplift your heart, and exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise, reach arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, and then we stand in our mountain palms. Face out. Let's step wide, and also let's place our props as we do. So your two books or blocks will go off what's about to become the back edge of your mat. They're not on your mat, so they're not underfoot, and that's important. Let's take our arms wide out to the side, thumbs face up, and step our ankles underneath our wrists. That's our starting point, and from there we will refine. Turn your right leg out so your right foot is facing the short edge of your mat, and then sneak your left heel at a 45-degree angle. Let's bend our front knee and just notice we need a vertical line from our ankle to our knee to our ankle, so I need a little bit more distance front and back, and you might feel the same. From here, right forearm like a karate chop across our right thigh, left arm up to the sky. We don't want to collapse and make a side bend. So press into that right forearm and feel as though you're crinkling an accordion in your right ribs, your bottom ribs. You're welcome to take the back of your left hand to the small of your back. Sometimes that feels better in your shoulder or your arm, and sometimes also that will make it more clear, rolling our chest open to the sky. 3 moments together here. You can keep your left arm behind your back or your left thumb to the sky, but this is an important transition. We will press into our right big toe mound and take our block to the outside of our right foot as we mindfully straighten our front leg into a triangle pose. Now, spin your inner upper arms away from each other so that doesn't crumble our shoulders into our ears. If you don't have a block, you might take your right hand on your thigh, but I don't want you to push it into hyperextension, so you're going to have to get a little push against your hand with your thigh. You're more than welcome to stay exactly where we are. Maybe one or two of you are interested in trying to balance this triangle only on your right leg. And it doesn't have to be you. If you are trying that, I like to take my left hand onto my left hip, look down, move my block about a foot out in front of my left pinky toe, float that left leg off the ground for a moment, my right arm up to the sky maybe. And then we'll just step it as gracefully as we can back into triangle where many of our friends are waiting for us. And we'll come out the way we came into this. So let's go slowly. Bend your right knee. Move your block off to the side. Take your right forearm across your thigh. Come up to warrior two. Straighten your front leg and lower your arms. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Let all of that digest for a moment. Then turn your left leg out, so your left foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel at a 45-degree angle. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. We bend our left knee. We'll check to make sure our vertical line remains from our left knee to our left ankle. Left forearm across our thigh. Right arm up to the sky. It might be that you take the back of your right hand to the small of your back, but let's unfurl our bottom ribs and rotate them towards the sky. So it feels like the accordion that is our left ribs, our bottom ribs, starts to open out and rotate skyward. Just 3 moments together here. Now, it doesn't matter to me if your right arm is to the sky or behind your back, but we do want to be careful about our technique of leg straightening here. You can take your block, place it outside of your left foot, and use that to slow motion press into your left big toe mound and straighten that left leg. If you are placing your left hand onto your left thigh, I want you to be very cautious about not pushing anything hyperextended into the mix. Staying right here in the stretch of our triangle is a great idea. If you're interested in floating into what's called half moon briefly, right hand on your hip, you'll move your block about a foot out in front of your left pinky toe and float that right leg up just for a moment. And then as gracefully as we can, we step that right back into our triangle pose, which is where you may have remained, and we'll come out the way we came in. So bend your left knee, move your prop out of the way, take your left forearm across your thigh. Come upright to warrior two, thumbs to the sky, straighten your front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat, and then heel toe until you're hip distance. Let's digest that, rearrange our props, and make our way to the front edge of our mat. Our props, our blocks now will go to either side of our mat as we face the short edge. So each one on its long edge. And let's stand in our mountain. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs, ankles or shins. Slide your hands up as we inhale and bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat for down dog. From our down dog, lift your right leg back behind you. Step that right foot forward. It's likely that you need to help it along, and then bring your two blocks to frame that right foot. We will feel right hip back and left hip forward, and I would like for us to nerd out on something a little bit together. So we'll just stay here with our hands on our blocks. But notice that your bent right leg, this hip is in what's called flexion, and our back leg, our left leg, is in extension. And you probably feel a stretch in the front of your left leg. Think about it. We're seated at our desk, in our cars, in something that resembles our front leg. We spend very little time in the position of our back leg. So we want to let our hips have that moment that they maybe don't get enough in our daily life. Move your blocks off to the side and step to a down dog. In between sides of that, let's take our little vinyasa. That's just our shift to plank, pushing the ground away. Knees down in one piece, we come to our bellies. Uncurl your toes for cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under through all fours and into down dog with the longest spine we can find. Left leg lifts behind us this time. Step it forward and feel free to help it along if that's something that it needs or wants. Frame your left foot with your blocks. Walk that left foot a little bit to the left, and then let's just feel into the two experiences on either side of our body. Our left leg now is the one that's doing an activity that it does frequently in our daily lives. Our right leg, back leg, is the one that's in extension, and we just note the feels. You can feel the patterns of life in your body. And it's not that those are bad things, but we want to make sure that we don't neglect some of the movements that our hips can and want to do. Now move your blocks off to the side. Bring yourself to down dog from here. And from our down dog, walk forward, feet to your hands. Feet are hip distance. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs as we uplift our heart. Exhale. Fold yourself back in, and then rise, reach, arms to the sky, V shape. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Rearrange where your blocks are. Put them a foot out in front of you, so like just about a foot out in front of the front edge of your mat. We'll take a chair pose, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. When we exhale and stand on your right leg, bring your left knee into your chest. That's the flexion that we just did in our lunge, yeah? Now slowly seesaw and take your hands to your blocks in a letter T. Once you stick your landing and you've got a little bit of bend in your right knee, you might make a little prayer underneath your heart and see if you can find some balance here, just for fun. Now, we will take our left knee into our chest and stand upright on that right leg. So we're playing with some balance. And we're playing with the articulation of our hips. So here we are in that flexion again. Now, kick yourself in the butt with that left heel. Reach with your left hand, see if you can find your foot. If you can't, just the attempt is fine. You can take your arm out in front of you, thumb to the sky, right arm out in front of you, and begin to kick that leg back into the extension that you felt in the lunge we did just a moment ago. But now, standing on one leg and trying to find it in midair. 2 moments. Let go of your left foot, step into chair pose, hip distance, thumbs to the sky. Stand on your left leg, take your right knee into your chest as you lower your arms. We letter T it in a seesaw, right leg floats behind you, hands come to your blocks. Once you feel solid there, if you so desire, a prayer underneath your heart, and you just play with a bit of balance as we're here and we breathe. Let's move slowly. When we stand on our left leg, our right knee will come to our chest and we come upright. Once we're upright and we note that this is flexion, we come into extension, kicking ourselves in the butt with our right heel. Right hand tries to find the foot, left thumb to the sky. You can kick it back a little or quite a bit, but we feel the back leg of our lunge in midair, and some balancing fun here too. 2 moments. Now gently let go of that right foot. Chair pose, hip distance, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up as you inhale. Move your blocks to either side of your mat. Bend your knees, palms flat. We step into a downward facing dog. Let's take one more vinyasa. So come to plank, push the ground away, knees down all the way to our belly. Uncurl your toes and come into cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then let the hook in your tailbone bring you to down dog. Lift your right leg behind you, step it forward. Feel free to help it along. Lower your back knee, which might mean take that blanket and place it underneath your left knee, so pat it as it needs it or wants it. And then let's make a little stack of our 2 blocks inside of our right foot and step our right foot a little bit to the right, just a little. Once you're here, you might choose to slide your left knee back just a little bit, but again, listen to what it needs. If it needs padding, give it padding. And if this next part is too much, stay just as you are, no worries. Think of kicking yourself in the butt with your left heel, just like we did standing. Think of taking your opposite hand, so right hand towards left foot, and maybe you hold on, maybe you just try to find it. You could even use a kitchen towel to lasso your foot, and we'll pause. And now I'm quite certain you're feeling the stretch on the front of your left leg. Let's breathe into this stretch for 30 seconds of silence. Without flinging it, let go of your back foot, straighten your front leg, take your blocks to either side of your right foot, and then we'll stay here and traction some length into our spine. Some will slide the right heel forward, almost like going to a little bit of a vertical split, but I encourage you to find a place where you can stay long in your spine and where you're now feeling your hamstring stretch. We talked about a hamstring stretch in our triangle pose, and here it is in a different situation. Find a sweet spot where it's interesting but not too intense. And let's be silent for a few moments here. Our transition is going to be different. So bend your right knee, take your blocks off to the side, carefully to down dog. Simply lift your left leg, step your left foot forward, lower your back knee, walk your left foot, stack your blocks inside of your left foot, and then maybe a slide back of your right knee, maybe you've got that padding. Reach back with your left hand potentially for your right foot and enjoy the stretch here a few moments. Gently let go of your back foot. Frame your left foot with your blocks. Maybe left heel slides forward, but that's not a priority. Once you feel the feedback of a stretch on the back of your left leg, we have arrived. And then let's stay with it here. Fifteen more seconds in our stretch. Carefully bend your left knee, swoop your left knee next to your right, take your blocks off to the side and out of your way. Lie down on your back. Once you're lying on your back, scoot your hips to the right, let your knees drop to the left. You might cross your right knee over your left knee if that feels good to you. Then come through center, feet flat, scoot your hips to the left, let your knees drop to the right, perhaps left knee crosses on top of right knee. And then we'll come down the middle. Snuggle our shoulder blades underneath us. Lift your hips just enough that you feel that there is symmetry and spaciousness in your lower back. You can always let your knees collapse in on each other and have your feet wide, or extend one leg and then the other into our Shavasana final meditation. We'll be silent and rest and digest. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, wiggle fingers and toes. Carefully collect your knees into your chest and roll to either side. Bring yourself up to any comfortable way to sit, palms up or down. Just take a second, a moment of gratitude. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again.